Hello my loves, I'm Ellie Frost. Thank you so much for being on my channel where we are talking about the multi-dimensional approach to rapidly and radically healing and transforming during and after narcissistic abuse. And I want to talk today about creating a much better life after narcissistic abuse, right? And this is very tricky when we've been traumatized. So let's bring it to the context of how we create things in our life. How do you radically transform your life? How do we have a completely different experience than what we've been through? Yeah? Most of us, or a lot of us, will go through these cycles and still kind of, well, there's a couple of things that happen. One is we'll often be in defense in the world. I've definitely been there where I just didn't want anyone around me. You know, I couldn't trust, I was only attracting the same kind of energies, and I just didn't want anyone near me. But that's not a full life. That's not a connected life. Two, we have very low expectations and standards for our life, because if you've been in a narcissistic abuse cycle and breadcrumbed, right? What you expect from other people and from the universe, right, can be very low. We've got very low expectations. So there's a few things we need to understand. I take you through these in Sovereign, right? One is, yes, there's a spiritual context. I believe your life is a divine assignment. I personally believe that. I don't think it's a random event. I think we all have a purpose on the planet. Now, that purpose doesn't mean that you have to be doing something that you consider grand. Your purpose in your community, your purpose in your job, your purpose with perhaps your family, maybe not if you're breaking generational curses like I've had to. But like there's a divine assignment, I believe, on all of our lives. I don't think you're here accidentally. I think you're part of a whole that's very important, and you matter. You matter. We all matter to the whole. In fact, your energy, it's like we live in an energetic universe, right? So we're much more energetic beings than we are physical ones, right? There's more going on than just what we do. There's how we think, how we feel, and the energy we emit collectively. We know this because some of, you'll know when you are around people how you can make other people feel. You have an impact on this planet more than I think we realise, right? So you've got your spiritual purpose. You've also got there's spiritual laws and there's universal laws. Universal laws are things like quantum physics, law of attraction, how we manifest, how we create, yeah? And then we've got our kind of emotional body and our ego, who we think we are. So when we've been through so as a baby coming into the world, right, the way we're treated really impacts our subconscious mind. From psychology, we've been taught that we make most of our subconscious beliefs before the age of 7, right? And the subconscious is like the autopilot of the mind, but it affects what you attract. It affects your money blueprint. It affects your health. It affects everything that you're going to create in your life. And the subconscious mind is basically telling us who we are, what we get to do, be, and have, right? Even if you've got a strong one, you can still go through narcissistic abuse, a strong blueprint of what, good expectations of what you expect in your life, what you want to receive, what you think you can achieve. It can still get completely eroded narcissistic abuse, and that's what I found. I was a great manifester, and I could not understand what was going wrong in my life because I had done a lot on belief work. I had done a lot to rewire my brain, to align our identity is what we identify ourselves with, right? So we're learning from the planet. We learn from our parents, we learn from the planet, we learn from our jobs, we learn from how people treat us, who we are, right? Our brain literally takes that information, and the way someone treats us, it locks in the subconscious mind. We don't think these thoughts consciously often, but as to what we're worth, right? So we've been very badly mistreated, which I was, in abuse relationships, then our expectation and standard for what we want to receive, what we think we're capable of, or what we think is normal, it's just normalized and identified with, is what we've experienced, right? So here's the thing. To radically transform our lives, we have to, yes, you have to believe in what you want, But you have to like believe in the standard of it. You have to set new standards for how you get to be treated. This is how you work law of attraction. You have to actually decide that you're capable and worthy of receiving something. But if you've been heavily traumatized, then we tend to think that the whole world's going to breadcrumb us, and we accept literally a very low standard of life, often for the rest of our lives, if we don't transcend this, because we've been taught that we're not worth much, we're not worth honouring, we're not worth being supported, we're not worth receiving much from our lives, or we may have had a lot of things and had it all taken away. The narcissist keeps you in constant emotional dysregulation, which is always walking on eggshells, not knowing what's going to happen next. They implant our subconscious with certain programs, including a lot of us doubt ourselves very much after it, and we wonder what we've done wrong for our lives to look like this, right? So our identity is very low. And often we'll think, well, maybe I deserve it. We get confused about the spiritual context of our life, thinking, well, maybe I am just supposed to be in this cycle. And there are some very, I believe, unhealthy messages about why you need, you do not need narcissistic abuse to spiritually awaken. It can actually stop all your awakening and actually put you on a kind of the opposite of your evolution. 2, we sometimes make it mean that this is, because it's happening, this must be what we're worth. And this is just so untrue. So in order to transform, we've got to connect with our sense of purpose. Now, a purpose could just be like, I'm here to live a peaceful life, a loving life. You can start it very general and very loose, right? It doesn't have to be, I'm going to do this to change the world. It could just be, I'm going to live a life that's authentic and true to me. Yeah? I'm going to look for wholehearted relationships. I'm going to do the things that feel good. You can start wherever you are with that, because our purpose is a journey. Secondly, to get to know my spiritual self, to connect with my spirituality, that could be part of what you feel called to, right? That's enough for a purpose, and it's big enough, right? Then we have to start being true. So in my program Sovereign, by the way, please come in July 17th, I'm reopening it. I'll go through what's in that, but I talk about manifestation. You have to be true to what you want and need. A lot of us deny our desires because, and if we do allow ourselves to feel what we really want, what we'd really like to have, we can go into almost like a PTSD response afterwards, because it's like we feel guilty and ashamed for wanting something. We're not used to connecting to our hearts, and a lot of things that we've wanted have been spoiled or ruined by narcissistic abuse, because a narcissist will constantly try and, it's subliminally a lot of the time, you know, it's all an undercurrent, it's all going on behind the scenes, but anything that brings you joy and pleasure, they'll try and ruin. So we've got this subconscious programming, if I want it, it's going to go wrong. Fear of loss is something I take you through in Sovereign, removing that trauma. And it's something that we have to, I've got tools in there that help you navigate this journey, because it's a process. It is not, you can make massive inroads in it, but it is understanding that in order to transform our life, we've got to set much better standards, right? Not just for how we're treated, but how we receive from the universe. I start the Sovereign program with talking about becoming an excellent receiver of life, right? Most of us are in defense mode and so scared of life after narcissistic abuse. And we've got lots of evidence for why things go wrong, that we're not worth much, that we're often used to clinging on to poor, toxic situations, people, environments, because we don't want it to get any worse. But living your life holding on to something that's not right from you in case it gets worse, can you see how you're going to manifest a very bad quality of life from there? So what I really want to teach people to do is how to radically transform their quality of life, because that's all we're on the planet for. You know, quality of life is your emotional experience of your day to day, is everything, right? And so we've got to learn to be great manifestors. We've got to understand how to be true to ourselves and become an energetic match to what we want, and process the trauma that comes along with what we've endured, right? And that's all of what I do in Sovereign. So I first of all teach you tools to process trauma, so the body can actually do what it's been needing to do, which is release, right? The emotions that have basically got stuck. When we're very traumatized, we just got stuck in an emotional pattern. But the thing is, until we clear that, what our subconscious mind does is looks for similar situations, actually manifest very similar situations, believing that if we go through it again, we'll resolve it there. But it doesn't need to be resolved externally. It can't be out. You can't think your way out of trauma. It has to just be processed. So that's part of Sovereign. Then I teach you how to. I've got trainings in there which gives you kind of a way to what I call self-focus and self-partner, navigate life basically, understanding what energy you're coming from and how to actually come from a much more sovereign energy, a much more true energy, right? And break bad habits, right? Create boundaries, standards and values, and then learn how to manifest. There's a lot of energy clearings and activations as well as formal training. So please get in for this round if you can. It's July 17th. I'm going to open the doors. Any questions, let me know. Lots of love, guys. I'll speak to you soon.